Welcome to my program. What do you do? Helping people stay out of prison once released. Okay, now I aired my pilot last week, so it basically explains what I'm going to do is read some letters from inmates who are incarcerated, and then you can respond to them with some answers to their questions. I only have a couple. I wish I can get more, but you know, it's hard to win the trust of incarcerated people, but I feel in time it'll catch on and I get more letters. So I have two today. Okay, the first one is from a woman. Her name is Linda Richo. She's 62. She's white. She's a lifer. She's done 36 years. She's a Christian, and she's at CIW, California Institution for Women. Okay, she writes, as a middle child of 7, I was allowed more leniency because my parents believed I needed less attention and guidance, and that I made sound judgments in youth, and I did. But I still sought the material attunement I felt lacking. But still quietly, I figured out where I fit in. It was made no easier by my father's unprovoked temperament and domestic abuses I witnessed unleashed on my mother, then towards my siblings. I was never able to reconcile my parents' love in the midst of this unrest, so I compartmentalized the events that separated us. Then I divorced first my parents and then my family. I lived with my father and sister while attending high school, sometimes visiting my mother and other siblings on weekends. I learned adult roles in care, keeping of others, and witnessed sad sorrows when spouses divide up their lives but not their emotional feelings by keep going back to each other trying to hold on. That taught me what becomes my norm. Eventually, my parents' marriage comes to an end. That's sad. At the age of 17, I graduated from high school. My father is a continent away, relocated from us. I moved in with my mother, still chasing her love. I was still young, impressionable, and navigating my own way. Okay, now the question she has is, what do you do when the person you live with for X number of years moves out without telling you? Okay, she's referring to a lover. What do you do when the person you live with for X amount of years moves out without telling you, then days later calls you for a date? She's still talking about a lover. What do you do when a person you've been in a relationship with for X number of years responds to you telling him that you may be pregnant by getting himself a new girlfriend without ending the relationship with you? Well, what she's saying is she told her boyfriend that she was pregnant, and his response was getting himself a new girlfriend. What do you do when a person you've been in a relationship with for X number of years tells you he looked into having you killed for $500? that seems like a weird question, but from the criminal mentality, the last thing you're going to do is call the police. So I guess she would like to know, what would you do without calling the police? What do you do when the victim sisters of your commitment offense appoints to the parole board determining your parole suitability? Well, I guess what she's trying to say is the victim's sisters are going up in the boardroom telling them why you shouldn't let her out. And evidently it's working because she's been down 36 years. Okay, and her last question is, what do you do when others who don't know you rewrite or re-narrate your personal story, your history? I guess when people gossip about you, telling what you do or whatnot, what do you do to handle that? Okay. This is Linda Richo. Her CDC number is W32549, California Institution for Women, P.O. Box 8100, Corona, California, 92878-8100. So you would sort of address the letter like this. Okay. Now the next one we have is from George Red, 75 years old. He's black, a lifer, sentenced for unarmed bank robbery. He's done 22 years so far, and he's a student of the teachings of Jesus Christ, and he's at San Quentin Prison. And he writes, at the age of 4, there was a situation that I was exposed to that proved to be character changing, that was instrumental in influencing my ability to process a right reaction to life circumstances. One summer, while visiting my grandmother, along with a couple older cousins of mine, once on the way to a neighborhood mom and pop store, I was told in the most aggressive and threatening manner that upon entering the store, they would place goodies such as candy and cookies into my jacket pockets, and if I told about the theft, my cousin said I would be beaten up. Once we exited the store, my cousins retrieved the candy and cookies, and for my participation, I was rewarded with a piece of candy. This arrangement had taken place a few more times, and each time I was made to wear a larger jacket so that my cousins could load me up with more goodies. Until one day, it became obvious that the jacket I had was extremely too large for me, which resulted in all 3 of us being detained by the store's owner, who had known my grandmother. My grandmother, she was embarrassed when she discovered what had been taking place with the thefts. Once we arrived home, she commenced to giving us a thorough whooping. Me being the youngest, I was under the impression that I would be given a pass, especially when I told her that I wasn't a willing party to the thefts, but had participated under the threat of getting beat up by both my cousins. My grandmother began to ask me questions regarding whether or not I knew right from wrong, and did I realize that what I was made to do was wrong. And when I answered yes to the question, she told me in so many words that I was obligated to do what was right. So I received a whooping right along with my cousins. What I couldn't understand at that age was why, when I felt I was just as much a victim as the owner of the store. This sole incident had created a thought process that would plague me up until a couple of years ago. Up until then, I would rationalize my behavior by justifying my actions by weighing out the potential consequences, meaning that if I committed an undesirable act, I would judge whether or not I could weather the results if I was unfortunate enough to have gotten caught. Coming from a rather large family, I, unlike my siblings, tend to make bad decisions that would eventually result in me experiencing a stint in juvenile detention, which proved to be an important learning experience which eventually made it easier for me to transition into areas of criminal behavior, which resulted in a period of graduations into a more severe endeavors. From my involvement with some friends, we broke into a local high school one summer, creating havoc, which resulted in an arrest and being charged with malicious mischief. As I grew older, the risks I would take would become more extreme, and so would the consequences. When I reached the age of 18, I was sentenced to prison, which developed into a really intense experience because it was the first time I was under the supervision of a gun tower and my education became real. When I witnessed a couple of guys attempting to escape that were shot off the security fence, which is a double fitting system topped with barbed wire. The tower gave one of the escapees the first fence, but shot him off the second fence and killed him. Then there was a situation that resulted in a race riot, which was also a very frightful experience, which also proved to be a contributing factor to my growth. Taking risks and dealing with consequences stem from my early childhood. All right. Now, this is where you come in. This is where he needs your help. What do? Okay. He only has 4. So the first one is, what do you do to handle your feelings when you believe you've been treated unfairly? Okay. What do you do when you know that others have done wrong knowingly and go unpunished? Okay. Should a child be expected to make rational decisions and be held to the same standard as those who are much older? All right. And his last one is, should children be muted? Well, I kind of don't understand that one, but maybe you do. Okay. His name is George Red. His number is 755-342, CSP San Quentin, 4W07, San Quentin, California, 94974. So when you address the letter, have it something like this. Well, them all the letters I got to read for now. I'm saving 2 more for next week, but you know, it's hard to win their feelings and their trust. So in time, when word to get around the prison, I guess it would pick up. I guess, you know, I wish I could do more, but like I said in my pilot video, I'm not going back into prison. I done did 31 years, so I ain't going back in there. But I just wanted to help. And what made me come up with this was the company I worked for, they closed the plant, and I went on unemployment. So they was giving me $800 every 2 weeks. Now, mind you, that just a month prior, I had just gotten off parole. See, when you're on parole, you can't go over 50 miles. They're in your business. They drop by your house. So you totally really ain't free. But now, for the first time in 31 years, I've been totally free. I went to visit my cousins, went fishing, taking my grandkids to football practice, and doing all sorts of things. So about 3 months later, everything slowed down, and I was just sitting around the house. And my wife, she had read my parole plans before, and she knew one of my triggers was having too much time, right? Which was one of my questions on my pilot that I explained. So she said, I would get you a dog. A dog? Yeah, so you can walk him around out here. Like, a dog? I thought about it a minute. As a kid coming up, I had a Doberman Pinscher. And then when I became a teenager, I had a pit bull, Touch Hog. So I was like, yeah, dogs sound good. I get me a Rottweiler. Got the same colors, a Doberman Pinscher, and he's big like a pit bull. And I'd just be smashing around downtown with him. Yeah, I get a dog. One day she come, I got you a dog. Look what she get me. Come here, Zoo. She give me this little bitty, pretty, adorable dog. Yeah. This is my buddy. This is my buddy right here. It's a Jack Russell Terrier. Boy, and he feisty too. I just love my dog. Yeah. But anyway, so I started walking my dog downtown, and mind you, I live right around the corner from the state capitol. You know what I'm saying? So I'm walking my dog, and people walking by, hey, doing all this, looking at me askew, grabbing their purses and not saying anything and do what they want to do. And I'm like, wow, these people are still racist out here. Dude, you can't even walk your dog around here. So I got tools that I learned, and what I use is quit taking it personally. And I know I'm a good person. Damn what they thinking. I know I'm good. And I use anger as a secondary emotion when I get to feeling really down, because I'm mad up here and I know there's something up under it, which I didn't work on, so I know what's there. But still, you still feel some kind of way when people is looking at you like that and the actions they do. So one day a partner of mine come by, and we done time in prison. Sharp guy. He was facilitator of a lot of these groups right here. Me and him was in the same college English class. Really, really sharp guy. And I explained to him what was happening, and he said, tell me this. He said, when you was in the mix of your criminality, how come you didn't come downtown robbing people and doing all that madness you was doing? I looked at him like he was crazy. I said, man, the state capitol right there. You got the CIA, the FBI, ATF, Secret Service, EDCVA, everything is out here. The police department, the sheriff. You have to be a fool to come out downtown, call yourself trying to do something to get away with it. He said, oh. He said, is that what you wearing? You talking about what I'm, yeah, that's what I wear. And before he left, he said, well, when in Rome. When in Rome? He leaves. When you're in Rome, you know, we learned in the classes and all that, when you're in Rome, you do what Romans do. You know, I was wearing shirts that said straight out of Sacramento, and if you can read this, YouTube clothes, hats with logos on them, you know what I'm saying, weed pictures, all that type stuff. Air Jordan, you know, I've been down 31 years. I'm just trying to look cool. So what I do is, I go to the thrift store. I don't have no problem with the thrift store. I used to that, but I'll go up in there in a minute. And I bought this hat with American flag on it. And this shirt, there. Drugs are bad. So I go walk my dog, and all of a sudden, everybody's coming. Oh, what kind of dog is that? That was a Jack Russell. Oh, I have it. You know, Jack Russell Terrier's only been around since the 90s, so they really ain't too familiar with him. Oh, he's so cute. Everywhere I go, they own the dog. Even the police, you know, I walk him in Capitol Park, even the police that was on the horses, they used to look at me all excuse me for, they stop, oh, how you doing, sir? And, oh, nice dog. I mean, it was like a whole turnaround. So that reminded me of my groups. And in the groups, you work on certain things, and I had certain, they called thinking dysfunctions, right? And one of my thinking dysfunctions was overgeneralization. And that comes from, if it happened once, it always happened. And mine was racism, because it happened once, twice, 3 times, 4. So I just figured it always happened. And my other thinking distortion was jumping to conclusion. So when I combined the two, and you know, I just jumped to conclusion what I thought was law. Just like other people have thinking distortions, like a dope dealer. He may sell all the dope all in the neighborhood and take some of the money and give it to the kids for, you know, school breakfasts or to the homeless or whatever, and he think he's doing a good thing. He's not. He stole all that money in the first place. It's a thinking distortion. There's all kind of thinking distortion. So that's when I realized that, I said, man, we wasn't doing stuff like, you know, just scenarios like this in prison. I said, I need to come up with something so we can get some feedback, because citizens think totally different than us. For instance, like Linda said, what do you do when somebody is going to pay $500 to have you killed? Well, a good law-abiding citizen, first thing they're going to do is call the police. That's the last thing on our mind, is calling the police. So, you know, down the line, I think there's going to be some interesting questions, and they need your help, because They want to get out and they want to do the right thing, but it's easy to get triggered when you encounter something that you're not really familiar with. So that's why I'm doing this. And you know, it's nothing. Just the old iPhone and time. Okay, that's all I got for right now. But before I go, I want to show you something. Now, I'm from the old school. You know what I'm saying? I'm still working the video. You know what I'm saying? But get a computer and get a green sheet and go to Google Drive and out in iCloud and Microsoft. Man, just get a damn video and a camcorder and you all good. I ain't trying to be pretty. I'm trying to get the message out. What do you do? That's what I'm doing. Now, that's my buddy. Look at it. He always the biggest dogs. Look at him. He done ran that one away. I know they just resist. Look at him. I mean, he don't have no sense. You know, he always pit bulls and whatever. He just trying to. If I don't have him on the loose, he just run up on him, but just grab him and just shake him. That's my buddy. Look at him. He just run the dog off because he messing with that dog. He say, "This mine. Go on, buddy." Look at the dog. He like, okay. And then look at. Oh man, oh man. Every time I take him to the dog park, you know, people be taking they be taking their dog and leave because he be running them. They be jumping all up on the bushes trying to get away from because he's a pest. He just won't stop. No matter what you do, he just won't stop. Oh man. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I got for now. I'll see y'all next week with at least 2 more letters. And so y'all can help these guys get out. Because you know, a lot of people, they really want to do good, but if you don't know why you did what you did when the same situation arises, you're going to do the same thing again. That's why a lot of people, they don't let them out. Because they don't know why they did what they did, or even if they do know what they did, they don't have the proper tools to deal with it. So this is just the little added help for all the people incarcerated. Okay, I'll see you next week. Yeah, just love my little dog. You look at you, look at you, look at you up there. Look at you. You just so yeah. You just